Trigger leads, Ryan. This is a hot topic because when you are in the process of purchasing a home, you have to do a hard credit pull in order to receive that pre-approval from you so that you know what you can purchase, how much you can purchase up to. But with that hard credit pull comes those trigger leads. So I'm going to have you educate our audience on what a trigger lead is and how we can help them avoid these sometimes annoying and aggressive phone calls that people receive.
Oh yeah, those pesky calls. Because yeah, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. I know if you were here last week, we spoke about the difference between those soft pulls and hard pulls. And as you mentioned there, Dana, a hard credit check eventually is required if you do want to move forward with a full loan approval for a home, a car, a student loan. But as you mentioned, Dana, one of the drawbacks of having that hard credit check is what's called trigger leads. Now, what is trigger leads? It's basically when a hard inquiry shows up on your credit, some of the credit bureaus share this data with competing lenders out there, competitors, really. So, we hear about this all the time, when we have an approved home buyer, when we do a hard check, right after that, they get phone calls, maybe, half a dozen to a dozen. They've actually increased throughout the years. And these are other mortgage lenders who've purchased this information and they're soliciting for your business. Now, this seems like an invasion of privacy because, you haven't given the bureaus permission to really share your information. And that's exactly why there are two proposed bills in Congress to outlaw this practice. They haven't been approved yet or passed yet, but it is something they're really looking into. But for now, it's an unfortunate practice that we do have to deal with. So how do you protect yourself from these calls? So one is, as we discussed last week, you could have a soft credit check. Now, as a reminder, this doesn't count as an inquiry on your credit, and you can still get pre-approved with a soft check. And because there's no inquiry, you do not get those trigger lead calls. But if you do find a house and you want to actually move forward with buying or a car or whatever, you eventually do have to have that hard check, which will open you up to those pesky solicitation calls. So a good practice that we recommend is when you're starting your shopping, you could do a soft credit check. But then, before you actually move forward with that hard check and you buy, you could go on to optoutprescreen.com. Just a reminder, it's www.optout, that's OPTOUT, prescreen, PRESCREEN.com. And this really blocks your information from being shared after a hard check. So you won't get those trigger leads. The only drawback, though, is that it takes 5 days or so for this to go into effect when you sign up. So it's a good time to do this, after you do a soft check and before your eventual hard check, because that's eventually going to come. So it's a good time to do that. So another good practice outside of this is, out of this opting out, is the National Do Not Call list. You could just go to donotcall.gov to sign up, and any solicitors that call you really have to check this list before calling. So if you're on it, they can't call you, it's illegal. So that's another good thing to actually sign up if you want to prevent these pesky trigger leads. So it's another good idea to do the soft check, sign up for both of these options. By the time you do that hard check and you are moving forward, your phone should not be blowing up with all these trigger lead calls.
Well, yeah, it can be a little bit of a pesky problem that, they've already chosen a lender and you're amazing. So
these guys they're good though. They'll shut out some really low rates, and try to do a little bait and switch. So, that they're trained, they have their scripts and they're coming after you. So it's a good thing to sign up for these two options just to prevent that from happening.
Awesome. And again, optoutprescreen.com and National Do Not Call .gov are your two websites, everybody. So
yeah, donotcall.gov. Yep.
That's correct. Yeah, that's a popular one I feel like a lot of people know about, but the optoutprescreen.com is not. So you guys definitely get on those lists. And if you have any questions, always reach out to Ryan or I. We're here to help. So Ryan, thank you as always for your valuable information, and we'll see everybody next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.